Unschooling probably isn't what you think it is. Unschooling doesn't mean the kids aren't learning, and it doesn't mean structure goes out the window. Unschooling is actually on a spectrum from structured unschooling to where you keep the core subjects in, all the way to radical unschooling where the kids decide everything. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my story of growing up unschooled. We first started with a structured approach, and then my parents became moderate unschoolers and things became kind of loosey-goosey. And when my parents divorced, things shifted into radical unschooling just to survive. Now, as a homeschool mom, when I began my own journey of trying to homeschool my boys, I tried to do traditional school at home, but it was a disaster. So in this video, I'm going to cover why the school at home model doesn't work and why also radical unschooling is dangerous and where many homeschool families can find a happy medium. Now, if you're feeling stuck between wanting the freedom that unschooling dangles before you and also terrified to let go of structure, I totally get it. That's why I created my homeschool routine builder. It's designed for moms who want this structured unschooling approach, which I'll dive into in this video, because it helps you protect things like math and writing, but it also gives your kids room to chase their passions. The link is below, so make sure you grab it now and make your homeschool life a whole lot easier on yourself. The definition of unschooling varies depending on who you talk to. John Holt, one of the founding fathers of the homeschooling movement, said, "Unschooling is allowing children as much freedom to learn in the world as their parents can comfortably bear." While that can change person to person, most unschoolers can agree on a few things. One, we believe children are naturally hardwired to learn. Two, we emphasize self-directed learning where the child pursues their interest and curiosity. And three, we believe that learning happens through natural life experiences. And like I said, this doesn't lead us to a concrete definition, but a spectrum of what unschooling can look like. So let me share with you my experience of growing up unschooled across the spectrum. Despite being unschooled until high school, I made the same mistake many new homeschool moms are making, which is trying to copy public school at home. And that leads to a lot of burnout and resentment at the home when we try to model the traditional school at our house. It's homeschool, not school home. But then I see a lot of moms hear about unschooling or child-led learning, and they're enticed, and there's this feeling in them that they know it would work, but they're also scared that too much freedom means their kiddos are going to fall behind. Now, I have lived every version of unschooling and been to public school, tried to do that at home. So let's walk through what actually works and what nearly broke me. First, we're going to talk about structured unschooling, which is where I started and where we now land as a family. And it works because our core subjects, the core four, science, math, language arts, and social studies, are guided. And a lot of things within those are curiosity led. Now, because I had space in between when I was unschooled, filled with public high school and some community college, I had that traditional school model. So when I went to homeschool my own boys, I tried to do school at home, and we were all miserable, and I felt like I was failing them. And it was this feeling like I'm doing all the right things, but nothing is working. Have you felt that? You can put me in the comments. And after 2 years of trying this school at home model, which was awful, I remembered what worked for me when I was homeschooled and in elementary years. And the thing that worked for me was structured unschooling. We did math, we did language arts, and I pursued what I wanted to pursue in science and social studies and anything else, which usually just was outdoor play for me. So then I started repeating that model in our home when my boys were young. And that's when homeschooling really began clicking for us. And this is what I built my core four model on and what I share in the Homeschool Routine Builder that you can get for free below. And it works because it's simple, sustainable, and they're routines that you can repeat and they actually work. Now, this structured unschooling approach is really what I advocate for homeschool families. So if this is sounding like a good fit for you, I want you to hit that subscribe button because I talk a lot about this on my channel. I refer to it more as child-led learning or passion-driven learning because the word unschooling have a negative connotation to it. And so it's truly just that child-led learning. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now let's talk about this middle ground between structured unschooling and radical unschooling. For our example here, I'm going to call it moderate unschooling. And this is where life becomes the main driver, and there's very little curriculum. Now, my own story, as I got older, my parents eased up on our routines. And what started as structured unschooling gradually morphed into moderate unschooling, where there were still some loose guidelines, but most of my learning was supposed to just happen naturally through life. And at first, I did love the freedom. I could dive deeply into animal research, spend hours like tinkering with websites. This was when like MSN chat was a thing kind of during those MySpace days. And I spent a lot of time building websites about all the animals that I knew so many facts about. But without any real structure, I started to notice some cracks. The things that I found challenging, like math and writing, basically anything that didn't come easily, I just avoided. No one was there to check in on me, and I wasn't pushing myself. I didn't really know to push myself. And it felt like I was learning a lot, but looking back, I can see I was mostly circling around my zone of comfort. And then everything changed. My parents were dealing with a lot of stress, moving to a new state, worrying about Y2K, their marriage falling apart. And as their attention shifted, any remaining structure of my life disappeared. And that's when we slipped into radical unschooling. Not because anybody planned it, but because life just got overwhelming. And both my parents became working parents, and suddenly I was on my own. And if you feel like you're learning about unschooling at a different level than you ever had before, please hit the like button so YouTube can recommend this video to more homeschool moms like you. Let's talk about radical unschooling and why it goes too far. And this is because kids control everything. Academics, chores, sleep, food. After my parents' divorce, what started as moderate unschooling quickly spiraled into radical unschooling. I was suddenly left to figure out everything on my own education with no structure, no guidance, and no idea about what I was supposed to be learning. Again, at first, when you're a 12-year-old kid, that freedom sounds great, but it didn't take long before it became completely overwhelming. I'd stay up too late, sleep in, drift through my days with zero direction. And the confident can-do kid I used to be really faded away. I became withdrawn and self-conscious, the total opposite of who I'd always been. And instead of feeling empowered by all this freedom, I actually felt lost and hopeless. And I remember thinking, I'm falling further and further behind, but I don't even know how to start catching up. And the real damage wasn't just academic gaps, although those were certainly there. Um, it was the way that lack of structure chipped away at my confidence and my sense of purpose. Food became a source of comfort, and honestly, it was the darkest season of my young life. The hard truth that I learned is that radical unschooling without intentional support isn't freedom, it's abandonment. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping you find the sweet spot between structure and flexibility so your kids can thrive with both confidence and guidance. After my rocky experience with radical unschooling, I craved structure. I am totally type A firstborn daughter. And the structure that I created is certainly not the cold, disconnected kind. My second year trying a big box curriculum, for example, as a homeschool mom with my own oldest son, was a wake up call. I remember my son watching the teacher on the screen. We'd pop in the DVD and he'd watch this classroom that was pre-recorded. And his eyes would light up because he truly believed that teacher was live. She could see him, she knew his name. And my heart sank because I could see him loving learning. And when he came to understand at whatever point it would have been that that lady, she doesn't know who you are, like my heart, it made me feel kind of sick to my stomach because that wasn't the connected, heart-centered learning I dreamed of with homeschooling. I wanted something that worked for both of us, something simple. I mean, I had two other little kids I was trying to keep alive, right? I didn't have number four yet, but I needed something simple, something open to go, and easy for me to do with my oldest. So our first big shift came when I found an open and go curriculum that helped me be present with my son and not just tech support, right? Like, oh, let me pop in the next DVD for you, honey. But I didn't stop there. I decided to let my oldest take the lead on science, which is his absolute favorite subject. And the result was he dove head first into science, started reading every single science book that he could find at the library. And by age 11, he was taking college prep physics because he loved it. And he passed the class with a 95%. I'm not sure that I could pass the class with 95% because he's trying to explain some of the concepts. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And that's the power of letting your kids follow their curiosity with the right support. And through all this trial and error, I discovered that you don't have to choose between total chaos or rigid structure. And that's where my Core 4 routine comes in. It's simple. It focuses on mastering four essentials: math, language arts, science, and social studies before you move on to anything else. And this approach gives us just enough structure to build confidence and fill in any gaps while leaving plenty of room for my boys' passions to shine. The Core 4 became the backbone of our homeschool routine, and honestly, it's the reason I can help other homeschool moms calm the chaos and feel confident today. When you have a clear, simple framework, you're free to enjoy those magical learning moments and watch your kids soar. If you've ever seen a mom drowning in curriculum, choice overwhelm, and feeling invisible in her own homeschool life, that was me. But finding the 4 core method changed everything. So now our days have structure, my kids are thriving, and I feel confident and content in our homeschool journey. So if you feel stuck between chaos and rigid routines, just know you can create a simple, connected homeschool that works for your real life. The Core 4 is how we did it, and you can too. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What questions do you have about unschooling, or how you find that balance for you and your family, or how we temper it for different ages? I mean, don't get me wrong. When our kids get older, we need to let them have more freedom. So moderate to radical unschooling can be appropriate when they have built healthy routines and habits. We don't want to hand that kind of freedom over to kids who still need our guidance. So let me know what questions you have about unschooling below. And in the meantime, go ahead and grab my homeschool routine builder so you can start learning a little bit more about the Core 4. It comes with a mini training and a download to help you begin to build your Core 4 homeschool routine. The link is in the description below, and you can start building routines that actually stick. And if you want to learn more about that whole process, you can watch this video right here.